This is Missile Cities, a deadly labyrinth that has become a nightmare for Western intelligence and the most complex geopolitical puzzle of the 21st century. How is it possible for a country besieged by the strictest economic sanctions in history for decades to successfully build the largest missile fleet in the Middle East? The year 2026 bears witness that Iran holds the key to hypersonic technology claimed to be capable of penetrating the most advanced air shields belonging to the United States and Israel. Self-Reliance or die. To understand why Iran is so obsessed with missiles, we must go back to 1980. At that time, the newborn Islamic Republic was immediately invaded by Iraq under the leadership of Saddam Hussein. In what is known as the War of the Cities, Tehran was rained upon by Scud missiles, and they had no way to retaliate. The West closed the doors tight. No one wanted to sell weapons to Iran. This is where the self-reliance or die mentality was born. The trauma of being showered with missiles without defense forms Iran's military doctrine to this day. They began reverse engineering Scud-B missiles from Libya and North Korea, naming them Shahab-1. That was the beginning of an evolution that never stopped. For 4 decades, they have not only copied, they have innovated. Without a modern air force, missiles are the nation's only life insurance for Tehran. Underground cities. The untouchable fortress. Iran does not store its precious assets in surface warehouses that are easy to detect. This is the most terrifying part for opposing military planners. Missile cities. They built fortresses under layers of granite rock in the Zagros Mountains. These facilities are designed to withstand even the most powerful American bunker-buster bomb explosions. Inside this labyrinth, missiles are not only stored, but produced from scratch. From the manufacture of solid fuel to the assembly of precision warheads, everything is done in the underground darkness. The tactical advantage is brutal, total survivability. Even the most advanced spy satellites cannot see what is being done down there. These missiles can be launched directly from inside tunnels through secret doors that open only seconds before launch. This makes the reaction time of the opponent's defense system cut drastically. Complexes like Parchin and Sharud are no longer just factories. They are the nerve centers of a defense strategy that makes a ground invasion of Iran a suicide mission. Asymmetric warfare. Let's talk about technology and how this Iranian sword goes head-to-head with the Western shield in 2026. First, we must look at Fateh-2. This is a hypersonic missile with a range of up to 1,500 kilometers. Its main targets are Israeli nerve centers like Tel Aviv and the Dimona nuclear installation. Its match is Israel's Arrow 3 system, or the United States' THAAD. However, in 2026, the effectiveness status of Fateh-2 is rated very high because its speed exceeding Mach 13 makes it almost impossible to intercept by current standard radar and interception systems. Fateh-2 does not fly in a predictable parabolic trajectory. It maneuvers in the atmosphere, looking for gaps between radar detections. Next is the Iranian ballistic backbone, Khorramshahr-4, or known as Khaybar. With a range of 2,000 kilometers, this missile is specifically designed to target United States military bases scattered across the Middle East. The main antidote for this missile is the Patriot PAC-3 system. However, Khorramshahr-4 carries a 1.5-ton warhead with high-precision technology. Its massive destructive power is capable of crushing large bunkers or runways in a single hit, keeping its effectiveness level high even when faced by the Patriot system. In the cruise missile category, Iran has the Paveh. This missile has a range of 1,650 kilometers, with the primary targets being oil infrastructure and aircraft carriers. Different from ballistic missiles, Paveh flies very low to avoid detection by opponent radar such as the Iron Dome or the Aegis system on American warships. Nonetheless, Paveh's effectiveness is at a medium level. If detected early, this missile can still be intercepted. However, its strength lies in swarming attacks aimed at making the opponent's defense system overwhelmed. Then there is Sejjil, the solid-fuel ballistic missile with the longest range, reaching 2,500 kilometers. This missile is capable of reaching as far as Southeast Europe and the entire Gulf region. Its main opponent is the SM-3 missile launched from Aegis warships. Sejjil's advantage is its preparation speed. Because it uses solid fuel, Sejjil can be launched in less than a few minutes, making it very difficult to detect by satellite before it actually takes off. In 2026, Sejjil remains a threat with a very high effectiveness status. Then, who exactly is within the deadly reach of these missiles? Who is within reach? The first priority is certainly Israel. Its entire territory is within full reach. This is Iran's way of balancing Israel's air superiority. The second priority is United States military bases in the Middle East. Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, to the United Arab Emirates are surrounded to ensure that if an attack begins, these bases will be destroyed in a matter of minutes. The most real impact for the world is the Strait of Hormuz, the global oil artery. Iran does not need to close the strait with large warships. They simply need to place cruise missiles and drones along the coast. If conflict breaks out, global energy supplies will stop instantly, and the world economy will fall into a great recession. Why must it be missiles? The answer is a very clever cost versus effectiveness analysis in military terms. Building and maintaining a fleet of modern fighter jets costs billions of dollars and is very vulnerable to being destroyed at the base. Missiles are much cheaper, can be mass-produced underground, and do not need the lives of pilots inside them. This is what is called an asymmetric duel. One unit of a Patriot interceptor missile can cost up to $15 million. Now compare it with Iran, which can send 100 cheap drones worth $20,000 just to drain the opponent's ammunition stock. When the opponent's shield is empty, only then does Iran launch the Fateh II. In the war, in 2026, quantity has its own quality. Logistics become the key to this success. The latest intelligence reports state Iran has accelerated production using chemicals like sodium perchlorate to ensure their stock stays above the figure of 2,000 ready-to-use missile units. In the midst of international sanctions that are again being tightened, the independence of Iran's military industry is actually getting stronger. They no longer depend on outside supplies. They have created their own technology ecosystem under pressure. Iran's missile program is actually not about blind aggression, but about deterrence or prevention. Iran learned from bitter history that without a terrifying power, they will be oppressed. With these underground missiles, they have succeeded in changing the rules of the game in the Middle East. Hypersonic technology and missile cities ensure one thing: no party can underestimate Tehran's power anymore without the risk of total destruction on both sides. Fear has now become the most effective tool of diplomacy in the Gulf region. The future of this program seems to will continue to move toward higher precision and more extreme speeds. Although international sanctions are tightened, the machines under the Zagros Mountains will not stop turning. The world may continue to debate at the UN negotiation table, but in the darkness of the concrete tunnels there, a new reality is being formed. The map of world power is shifting, where secret holes in the belly of the mountain become a reminder that war in the future will never be the same again.